welcome to another episode of On the Floor with Wayne and Rob. I'm Wayne Highlander, National Sales Manager for Bona Adhesives.
I'm Rob Johnson from Bona Training.
How we doing, Rob?
Really good, Wayne. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. I know we talked about this before, but I get so passionate about this damn thing, Rob, that I'm going to bring it up again,
We
okay?
can't talk enough about this machine.
Uh, you know, first of all, we're going to talk about the Power Drive today. I talked to my brother, Doug. I was in California a few weeks ago, I mentioned earlier, and I went out to, this is kind of funny. Went out to the, can't remember, it's a steakhouse there somewhere. I can't remember what it is, but there's 5 or 6 of us there, 2 other contractors, my brothers, and nice waitress. The food comes, everybody gets their food, and then somebody ordered another beer, and she sets my steak down, and she promptly dumped the whole beer on top of me and the steak, the whole plate, over everything. I mean, holy smokes, what a shock. It was a shock. It was shocking is what it was. But anyhow, the reason why I bring that up is because my brother Doug, we don't talk about work so much as we used to. I mean, unless, something comes up. But I asked him, hey, you got any jobs coming up? How's your schedule looking? This type of deal. And he said, we just finished a pretty good size one, 2,500 square foot. It was a floor, it was like a pre-finished floor years ago, and they're the first ones to sand it, right? And he brought up the Power Drive, and he goes, "We never brought another machine in that house except the Power Drive. We did a tiny bit of edging. We never brought the big machine in." And he goes, "That damn thing, man, that is the best." And the reason why I bring this up and why he gets me so passionate about it is he was so adamant against it when it first came out.
Really?
My brother John, Doug is a craftsman, man. Doug is, he's the guy, if you can't do floors anymore, you want to bring him in to do them. I mean, he's that guy. He's so meticulous that he'll drive us nuts sometimes. But, now he is absolutely, he went on to talk about how much this has changed the way they sand floors. And he doesn't, it's a total game changer for them. For them to have a system down for years and years and years, and now to pick this machine up and it is everyday part of their system like no other. And the reason I bring this up is, I mean, the Power Drive's been out for a while, right? There's been a buzz about the Power Drive, no question about it. And if you didn't catch that wave when it first went around, I highly encourage people just to buy the damn thing. And I don't usually come out and say to talk like that and whatever, but I talked to so many great guys across this industry that use that machine, and it absolutely changed everything for them. Now, when it first came out, my brother's Doug didn't use it very much, because he was still into his system. He still did things a certain way, whatever, and was reluctant to change. And then it wasn't until we came out with the weights that the weights is what sold him. And he said, without that machine, I mean, that without the weights, it's a different machine altogether. You put the weights on that thing, and it is an absolute game changer. Even talking to John Booth of Louisville, in Louisville, Kentucky, Louisville's best floors, I think it is. John is another one of these guys. He takes it to a whole nother level. He talks about the clarity of the grain when it's sanded with a Power Drive. When you fine sand it with a Power Drive, it's in no other way will you get that look. When we talk of years ago about not being able to produce piano type floors, we tell people blah blah blah. I promise you, you go back and look at a floor you did when you thought you were good, 10 years ago, compared to using the Power Drive. It is absolutely, and when I talked to my brother Doug, I asked him, I asked him, I threw a bunch of questions at him when he brings it up. All right, I'm going to go. I asked him all kinds of questions about it. And, he'll tell me, you know what, Wayne, because they still also, he runs a drum sander, not a belt sander. When I say he doesn't jump on new technology, I mean, he's still running a drum sander.
He's still running a slot drum,
and he will not change it. I brought
wow.
I think I told this story before. I brought a belt sander to the job one time, and I said, "Look, guys, I bought this. I want you guys to try it out, see what you think about it." Here's all the stuff it does. But the only thing you have to do different is go from left to right instead of right to left, blah, blah, blah. I left. And when I came back, the cord was wrapped up neatly and the machine and the cord, they were sitting on the front porch. He goes, why? I don't need to change, man. I mean, this machine, I do a beautiful job with this. And he knows how to load the paper right and everything. He takes care of that machine. He's a mechanic with it. So, but talks about this power drive like I mean, it is a second coming. So I just, and again, it's the weights that did it for him. He thought it was a really good machine without the weights, but he said the weights it's a total game changer. When I talked to John in Louisville, he brings up a great point. If you got to do a floor upstairs, say you just have a hallway upstairs, an entry or something like that, rather than to break the machine down and carry it upstairs and set it up again and do all that stuff. One guy could easily take the machine upstairs, send the whole thing with a power drive. If you got kitchens that are cut up kitchens and whatever, I mean, the thing is an absolute, I hate using the word. I wish I had another word for a game changer, but I just get so excited about this machine, Rob, and I know we've talked about it before, but like I said, I think if people didn't jump on it already or get to know the machine, I'll tell you what, there's planetary machines out there. Some of them will beat the hell out of you all day long. Some are slow. Some if you've got a subfloor that's not already nice and perfectly flat, you can get a lot of tabletop issues on it, but you won't get one as diversified as this machine. John says even when you're putting buffs on stain, he uses the power drive. It doesn't have any lag to it like a lot of buffers do. When he uses the Tampico brush, he used the Tampico brush with the power drive. And when you take this up to and I've said this before on these shows, when you take it up to the final, especially if you're using something like the diamonds, if you want to take it like to another planet level, you use the Tampico brush after this. You put your first coat of finish on. Tell me if it don't look done. You know what I mean? It's sensational. I mean, I'm telling you,
When I went from sport to training, the very first time I saw the power drive, and there was a couple other planetary machines out there, and I was just kind of rolling my eyes about it, like, I turned into my great grandfather. Oh, here's another gimmick, and I was thinking to myself, oh, here's another black and white square buff that will be left in the back of somebody's warehouse covered with dust. That's what I thought of the machine when I first saw it. So I'm now with Bona training, so I got to use the machine. I used it very little in the process. I mean, I would use it a little bit, let people, make a quick cut with it and, do what you got to do. But I really wasn't behind it. Like I said, I just thought it was a gimmick, and there's only one way to sand a floor: drum, edger, buff, multi-disc. And I kept thinking to myself, you get the multi-disc, you don't need the power drive. Multi-disc is a game changer. Power drive, the more I used it, the more I started to come around. And then when the weight kit came out, that's when, once we got the counterbalance with that weight kit, forget about it. That's when that thing turned into, and one of the things we do at the schools, where before I used it very little, I usually at every school will dedicate an entire panel, a stain panel, start to finish with the power drive. And when I say start to finish with the power drive, I mean everything. The first cut, weights, full weights. We use the steel plates on the middle cut. That flattens the floor out beautiful. That steel plate addition has been amazing. So you get your steel plates, you get your weight kit now. But like you were saying, Tampico brush, buff stain on with it. It does. I will do an entire panel from start to finish. Intercoat abrasion, you name it. We do that entire panel with one machine and just a little bit of edging on the outside, and that's it. It really is unbelievable. The last school I did, we not only did the whole thing, but we wire brushed the panel too. Stained it, wire brush. I mean, all with one machine. You talk about, to me, the one that you were just talking about, the small areas, the cut up areas and everything. The landing, those landings, those 4x8 landings. Well, I mean, just an absolute nightmare for a guy. Bringing edgers up there, drums, the whole deal.
Mhm.
Now you're bouncing that upstairs and you're done in 5 minutes, where you're still bringing the equipment up there.
Mhm. Those rooms that are too big for an edger and too small for a big machine. I
Yeah.
mean, perfect.
How many times did you do an estimate and not open the closet door, assuming that it was just a normal size closet,
Never.
right? And there were times where
Just kidding.
I'm not looking in there. It's too many clothes, right?
Yeah.
And then when all the clothes are out, the closet ends up being 3x12.
Yeah. Yep.
Now I got to add, what was I thinking? Now it's just one pass in, one pass out. I
Yep.
mean, it's unbelievable the amount of
Well,
things you can do with it.
I'll tell you the difference between my brother Doug and I when we were kids. We look at a river, go, okay, we're going to swim across this river. And I'll go, look, the current looks like it's flowing such and such. If we get to here, we can take the small side, blah, blah, blah. But I'm halfway through talking about Doug's already took the shirt off and he's swimming across it. I've had John on the podcast a couple of times, my brother John, and Doug may never be on here because he's not a talker. He'll damn sure do it. He'll get it done, but he's not going to talk about it.
Is he older or younger than you?
He's the youngest brother. Yeah, he's the youngest brother. So of the four kids, and four kids, we're all 50 and 60 some odd years old now. So, but Doug, when he gets this passionate about something, he just kept going and going about the machine, man, and the difference it's made to them and their business and how it's changed everything for them. And it just made me passionate about it again, I guess is what I'm saying. And so I think, like I said, if you've heard about it or whatever, or maybe you didn't jump on it first time, or you got it, and for heaven's sakes, anybody who has a machine who doesn't have the weights, do yourself a favor and get the weights, because everybody I talk to says that's really been a game changer.
That is really what I think was the best addition to it. I mean, the steel plates are great, the wire brush is great, but the weights, the weight kit, I think is just what made it a machine that you can do 100% of the time, where you don't need to roll the big machine in anymore.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that on every job don't bring the big machine, because I still think that I like probably most jobs I would rough it off first with a big machine. I'm about the speed of it too, so then I would go to that machine, unless it's like I said, a kitchen or small, on a diagonal or something like that. But when he talks about how stress-free it is, when you're sanding, you put your headphones on, you listen to the podcast, and just sand all day without the headache of what I hope we don't get chatter. I hope this, that, and the other. I hope, you know what I mean? And those things you had to worry about back years ago, those are gone. Now it's just follow the system, and the system works. He's not alone. I mean, I talked to so many other people. I talked to John the other day, John Booth, about it. And I mean, he just raves about the machine. So I don't know, man. I just think that if you haven't given it a look, I know machines are expensive. I mean, spending money for a big machine is not it's not a small thing. But I do think the investment in time and quality and less headaches and what have you. And like we talked about, I mean, I've said from the very beginning, when I first saw the machine, I had two thoughts about it. When I first saw it, I wasn't even in America yet. Our European counterparts were running the machine, and I seen the guy running the machine with the handle almost straight up. And I thought, well, that's clearly a problem.
I saw that, and I said, somebody send me to Sweden. These guys don't even know how to run a buffer over there.
Yeah.
I got to get over there and teach them.
And then when I got my hands on the machine, I realized the first thing I thought of is probably what a lot of people do, is that you can finally start hiring people to do this job. Because teaching someone we all know teaching someone on the edge or teaching someone on a big machine, they're not productive for 6 months. And longer, you know what I mean, where you can really turn loose and not even think about them.
Every single class, that's one of the real big things that I talk about, is now you can get a kid. And I always say the same thing. I always had a number in my head. 6 months was the number. That kid is costing you money for 6 months. Kid, guy, whatever. He's costing you money for 6 months until he can really start to get productive and help sand the floor. Well, I was telling this story, same story I always tell. I was telling this story at the Nashville school. Do you know Jeremy Curly Hardwood?
Yes, yes, yes. Of course I do. Yes, yes.
Awesome
Good, good.
lunatic of a
Mhm.
guy. One of the funniest guys I ever had in the class. The guy was awesome.
You try to feed you?
Oh, he brought in lunch one day.
Mhm.
Matter of fact, he brought in Rob Johnson corn muffins.
Oh, nice.
He made corn muffins, and everybody's like, "How'd you do that?" He goes, You ready for this one?"
Mhm.
He goes, "Oh, I had a Santa Claus cookie, Santa Claus designs," and I was like, "Oh, okay, I get it. Yeah, I'm a little heavy. All right, thanks for pointing that out. Yeah,
Okay, that's pretty
right."
funny. I'm gonna do a
But
side note.
he brought in lunch, and I mean, he just didn't bring in a lunch. He brought in crock pots of different food, and it was amazing what this guy. But he's a nut. I mean, one of the most lovable nuts in this business I ever met. Just crazy. Well, I was telling the story about, listen, you can take a kid and in a half an hour teach him the basics of how to run this machine, and you can just let him go. I mean, he's making you money in a half an hour. A kid who has absolutely never sanded a floor. And in a half hour of just coaching, he's part of the crew. He's making you money. About 2 months later, Curly sends me a video, and it's a kid running the machine. And he goes, it's his first 15 minutes on the job. His first day, 15 minutes into the job, day one of his career, 15 minutes. And he just
Making
had a
money.
video of this kid in the closets, out of the closets, running it perfect. Right.
Wow.
And this kid, now think about what it did for this kid's self-esteem. I mean, think about that kid that you put on the edger, and all he did was just bang stuff up, killed himself that day, and still everything looked crappy and nobody's happy. And right. I mean, you get 6 months of that.
Yeah.
Now you put a power drive in this kid's hand. He's going home telling everybody, geez, I've got a career.
The other
I'm a
thing,
floor guy.
I used to think of that as well, but there's another side of that too, is the older guy that maybe you love to, like, let's say he's a carpenter type of guy, whatever, but he's not the guy that can be on his hands and knees anymore, whatever. But he could be a very useful hand running that machine all day long. You know what I mean? Or even for flooring contractors or journeyman floormen that are up in, that should be the day that you show up. That's your easy day. You know what I mean? That's all. You're just behind that machine. You got your headphones on, and that's the easy day now. You're being productive. You're putting out a smoking good quality product. And so I think we talk about the younger guy coming in, but there's the other side of that coin too.
Well, when
And
Bona lets me go, instead of a severance, I'm going to ask for a power drive.
there you go.
Give me a power drive and a power scrubber.
I don't know if it'll be your complete.
I'll be
severance.
off to the rid.
It may not be your complete severance, but at least $300 off the machine or so. You mentioned corn that you mentioned that he made cornbread. Making cornbread today in America is a complete waste of time. You know that?
No,
Making
tell us, please tell us why.
Nobody should ever make cornbread again.
And
I'll tell
why
you why.
is this?
Because you cannot improve on Jiffy cornbread. You can't make it any better. Back in the day, it was like 39 cents for a box of it. I don't know, maybe it's 65 cents, or I don't know what that
The
costs.
Jiffy corn muffin mix. I know.
Yes.
The little blue box.
Yes, blue and white. You can't beat that product. So make something else. Don't make cornbread. They perfected it. For a lousy. Here's what I had some for breakfast today. You know what I did, Rob? The little woman had some for dinner the other night.
Is that what you call her? Do you call her a little woman?
Sure, sometimes.
That's so sweet. Yeah, people don't get that about you, do they?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I have other pet names for her, but she'd be embarrassed if I said them.
Easy. You're already in enough trouble with Eileen's feet.
No,
You don't need to go there.
Eileen's feet. You know what I was wondering? Speaking of Eileen's feet, I bet you the power drive could take some of them bunions off. and those calluses and rough spots all over the bottom of her feet.
You know, she's always talked so nice about you.
I'm being nice.
She's always talked so nice about you. And then for you to just assault her feet the way you are.
I'm saying it would help her with that regard. I'm just seeing, I've seen it. It's a mess. I don't know. I think it would help. Anyhow, but so that's it. That's all I got, Rob.
That's it.
Yeah.
What about the edging?
Well, again, I mean,
that is what, you know, a couple things that I love to show. One, I make that speech about 15 minutes. You got a guy who's working on your crew and making you money. That's how I start. And then once I get them, and especially now with the 2 weights on it, now I show them how close you can get with the edger.
yeah.
You know, how much edging you can eliminate, where we get it so close up here in New York. I know I could find base and shoe that would cover that up and we'd be off to the races.
Yeah. So I don't want to hit this too much. We talked about some of the power drive in the past. Like I said, I really, you know, talking to my brother, I got really fired up about it because of how much he does, and he's not that guy. He's not a, you know, he doesn't jump on new stuff. He doesn't get excited about a lot of stuff. I mean, you know.
Well, for a guy who runs a slot drum,
Yeah.
For a guy who runs a slot drum,
yeah,
to fall in love with a power drive, that's huge. That Now I know why you had to do the show on this.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing. For a guy who believes in his equipment so much that he's still running a slot drum, loading paper. For him to jump on a power drive.
Yeah. And he's kind of taken away that role of running the big machine at our company. I mean, you know, he got it quicker than most of us got. He's better than my brother John. John will tell you that. Doug is no. Doug
Did
does
you
all
just
that.
call it our company? Are you still involved?
No, when I was our company one time. I was saying back in the past. No, I'm
Yeah,
not
I wonder,
involved.
do the brothers like when you call it our company?
No, they know it's there's no issues there. Still waiting for my royalty
Are
checks.
they
though,
still
guys.
sending you a check every
No, somehow I missed that opportunity. I
monthly
guess
checks?
that came and went, I guess. I didn't put that in the contract, so. But anyhow, all right. So I guess that's all I got. And
Well,
listen,
you forgot to mention the steel plates.
I thought you did. Oh, I do want to add one thing, but go ahead and mention the steel plates.
The steel plates. Just when I thought, wow, the wire brush, amazing what the wire brushing will do. And I think what you have to do if you own a power drive is you got to take the leap, because that's what I've been doing with training. You know, take the leap, because it's the only way you're going to be a believer here. When I saw the wire brush kit, I was like, oh, geez, I don't know about this. So I started using it for wire brushing. Amazing. I was doing a school in Philadelphia, and I had 2 guys that were just, I could tell they were pretty excited about it. I let them use it. You know, they were doing the demo and everything. And the guy turns to me, and I think I told the story before. He turns to me and he goes, could we rent this machine from you tonight? We'll give you $500. And it's like, man, $500 cash. I go, well, you're coming back tomorrow, right? I hope Bona isn't listening to this. So I said, yeah. They go, yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. I go, well, take it. Go ahead, take it, borrow it. You know, it's in my travel box, so it's not in the best of shape. Go ahead, have a blast. Well, they usually takes them a week and a half to 2 weeks to wire brush one job. They're wire brush specialists. They're working down in Jersey, the Jersey Shore. They're charging $18 a foot for wire brushing.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, but they're wire brushing by hand. They wire brush floors by hand.
Wow.
So like I said, they're a week and a half to 2 weeks to do one job, huge beach houses. That night, they did 2 jobs. They wire brushed 2 jobs.
Wow.
They came back the next day, and of course, it's like, you know, where do we sign up? We're going to get a couple of these. I mean, everything just, you know, fell into place. Huge for these guys. One of the students said, well, at least now, you know, you don't have to charge $18 a foot.
Huh.
And the guys are laughing like, what are you, our market is 18 bucks a foot. This
Yeah.
is,
Sorry,
people aren't
established.
thinking about the money. They're just thinking about what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So when I hear that was the story that really sold me on the wire brushing. We went back to, oh, you don't hand scrape floors, you don't distress floors because you just suck the life out of them. I used to think the same thing about wire brushing. You don't do that, you're just going to suck the life out of the floor. Well, now that's when everything hit me.
Mm-hmm.
What do I care what these people want done to their floors? They're going to pay me 18 bucks a foot to destroy their floor. I'll take that money in a second. It was brilliant. The first people to see the fad or see the trend, they're the people who make money with it. So the wire brush, amazing. So the last thing I started playing with a couple of months ago was the steel plates. Once again,
Yeah.
I was blown away, but you have to take the leap. You know what I mean? You got to kind of trust it. I wasn't crazy about the steel plates for the final cut. And I wasn't crazy about the steel plates for the first cut. I thought it created a ton of heat. But for the middle cut with one weight, that was a way to go. Unbelievable. I know people are using the steel plates in different spots and everything now, but you want to see a flat floor. Just unbelievable. With that steel plates on that middle cut with one weight and not both weights. Like I said, if you own one of these, get the attachments, the steel plates, the wire brush, the weight kit, and take the leap. Don't be afraid to, don't be afraid to do it. If you can near a training center or something, call your Bona rep. He'll let you play with this stuff. Try it out. Try before you buy, because you'll buy it. Absolutely, you will buy it, but you got to use it. And if you have one, use it. Take that leap of faith with trying the different attachments and everything, because once I did, because like I said, I thought it was a gimmick. I thought it was a gimmick when I saw it, 5 years ago. And now, you always get the question at the school, or, since I've been in training, oh, I'm new to what should I buy? What would be your first machine? And I said, well, big machine and an edger. That's what you have to do, belt sander and an edger. I don't say that anymore. I mean, now I'm an old timer when it comes to the new stuff. But now I tell everybody, if I was getting back in the business, this is the first machine I'd buy. There's no machine that gives you the versatility and the options that machine gives you. There's just no machine out there that can do it.
And by the way, you can take those plates off too when you need to get under cabinets and kitchens and stuff like that too. So, yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the steel plates, because even before Bona had them, my brother Doug went out and had some made. When I tell you he's a freak about his sand jobs, I mean, he's a freak. And I know other people have done that as well. Now we make the steel plates, and you talk about getting a flat with no dish out. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's like I said, you go back to your floors you did 10 years ago after you used a power drive for a year, and you'll wonder how you got paid. I mean, I'm sure they were still great looking floors, but don't hold a candle to to what you can produce now with this machinery. So, all right. That's all I got, Rob. I just want to hit that real quick. I appreciate it. And hey, this has been another episode of On the Floor with Wayne and Rob. So please do stay tuned for another episode.